Well, the Prime Minister has joined a group of state premiers and politicians across the political divide, calling to restrict children from joining social media platforms. Current users must be at least 13 years old to create accounts on major platforms like Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, but there are no legal mechanisms to enforce it. Anthony Albanese confirmed the federal government will look to trial stronger age limits on social media to protect young people from potential harm.
We put in the budget money for a trial, essentially, of how we can restrict age restrictions, how it can be effective. That will take place. We want to make sure that any changes that are made actually work. The internet is difficult. I don't look at the comments on my social media because if I did, I'd find it difficult to leave the house in the morning.
Yeah.
And joining us live now is Headspace's Head of Clinical Leadership, Nicola Palfrey. Nicola, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Just give us a sense of your experience dealing with young people and social media and just how dangerous it can actually be for particularly young adults' mental health.
Hi, thanks for having me. I think the thing to remember is that young people's experiences of social media are mixed. Like any social interactions, they can have really good times online, and we know that from surveys we've done with young people about their social media usage, they do find it a good place to meet friends and connect around issues that they care about, but they also are very well aware of some of the negative impacts on it. So a lot of it may well be to do with comparing themselves unfavourably with other people that they know logically perhaps that they might have altered their images in some way or inflated their successes, but still that can leave young people feeling a bit less than, and that can have an impact on them. But also we know they can be exposed to content that they find distressing. They can also feel left out in the same way that they can feel left out in the real world, in real life, in their social contexts. That is also rife online, as well as things like bullying.
As I understand it, the research suggests that girls are more adversely affected than boys. Is that your experience? If so, why is that?
I think they're impacted differently. The research is not super comprehensive. I think girls can be impacted around the body image and those sorts of cues around how they should look and behave and so forth. But we also know that some of the research indicates that boys might be more likely to be drawn in more of an addictive way. So I think, like a lot of things, it can depend. Boys may not be as scrolling through the dances or the looking back gender, everyone's into different things, but also we know that some young men are really caught up in the expectations of what they should be achieving or doing. They should be an influencer, or they should be making money, or their physique should look a certain way. So I think, like a lot of things, it impacts in different ways, and also the kind of comfort level of young people to talk about how they feel can depend on gender as well. So sometimes girls are more willing to come forward and talk about their experiences, and sometimes those young men, we struggle to get them to share a bit more.
Obviously, parents are really tearing their hair out over all of this. What's your advice to mum and dad who might have kids who are perhaps not quite there yet, but starting to pressure them to buy their first phone? Is holding off for as long as possible the right approach? What sort of advice do you give parents?
I think it can be easy for us to think about it as a completely new context for parenting, and it's not. It's a new platform. It's not new for kids, by the way. They've grown up with it. We've been putting tablets and screens in front of kids for a long time now, and expecting, when it suits us, for them to take that and be entertained by their iPad, for example, when they're quite little. So I think we also have to take responsibility that sometimes we can be exposing kids to these behaviours and then get annoyed with them when they're continuing them. So like any other behaviour, it's important to set boundaries and expectations around usage. And also, really importantly, and I don't know that we've done a great job of this as adults, is being curious and interested and non-judgmental about what young people are doing online, because it can be really easy to jump to ban it, stop it, just get off it, and that doesn't tend to work with young people. They find ways to get around it and access it through other means. And if we do that kind of just stop approach, what that means is they tend not to come to us when they might be in trouble, or they might be concerned about themselves or a friend, or they might have seen something that they find really distressing. So much better than the kind of just stop it approach or banning. I don't think bans tend to work very well. We want to be curious, understand what young people are accessing or why they're interested in connecting online, and also give them the skills to be able to notice when it's working for them. Are they coming off feeling really proud of themselves or happy because they've learned a new skill or made a friend, or are they actually doom scrolling and finding that they're feeling isolated? And so building the skills for them to manage those emotions and engagements and interactions in the same way that we do offline. So we need to support our young people to manage disappointments or feeling left out or feeling concerned about things, and they exist whether or not it's happening in social media or in the school grounds, for example.
Nicola, that's some really good advice there, not just for young people, I think for all of us. We really appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.